So this session will be recorded to enhance the experience of those who are unable to sit in with us at this time. So why am I here? I was trained with the Loma Linda International Behavioral Health Trauma Team from in 2009 to address and support their team for psychological first aid. That training then blossomed to several other models of training. And I have been fortunate, and I would say it's fortunate because I've been able to join in service with members of this team, that is Loma Linda team, but also to be a part of a locally based team to provide service to persons in St. Vincent, in St. Martin. Some members of the team went to Dominica, but I also went to St. Kitts and Nevis, where we supported guidance counselors, disaster management personnel to work with those on the ground, families on the ground that were affected by disasters of different kinds, and also to support the governments of these Caribbean island territories to train their psychologists and guidance counselors. So for the past 11 years, I've been a member of the local team doing this work. And so with this COVID-19 pandemic, we're all feeling it. We're at home, but we want to know how to still maintain that level of resilience. So thanks for coming on board. Now, who can benefit from these sessions? Do you all see any faces that you know? And this is definitely going to be a very interactive session. So I'd love to hear you. Anyone can benefit. So we have different deacons. If you follow my cursor, we have men of the cloth, if you will. So deacons and elders and pastors. We have children who can benefit. We have individuals, we have families here, right? Ladies can benefit, men can benefit. So who can benefit from these sessions that we've begun today? Everyone. We have older persons can benefit, you know? So as a community, as well as an individual, there are some very powerful takeaways from this session. But I am introducing you, this is a gentle, easy introduction to the community resilience model. And as on the individual level, the aim is to widen your resilience zone so that you are better able to handle life stressors, to be able to reset your nervous system, to bring it back into balance after traumatic or stressful events. We need to be able to intercept the hijacking of your nervous system, yes, that's NS, by learning skills for self-care, and to integrate the CRIM skills, that is the community resiliency model skills, into activities of daily living. Now at the community level, we'll be creating, and this is further on, if you and your churches desire this information, we can do this training to create a cadre of CRIM-informed community members who are educated to understand the biology of traumatic stress events, the biology of resiliency, and widen the resilience zone. But for today's session, so we're zeroing in like a cone. By the end of this session, you will get an overview of how to reset your nervous system after trauma. You'll get tips on how to widen your resilience zone and stepwise instructions on how to deepen your resilience using the technique of resourcing. How are we going so far? And so I would like to invite you now, so you can put on your video so that we'll see who is on. Okay, wonderful. Shadia, Aura. Okay, so while I know all that is on, okay, who is Eden Paradise? Welcome, Eden. And so this slide speaks to applying your resiliency mask first. Do you remember the last time you traveled? On the plane, that is, the instruction was, after getting information on where the exits were and the need to find your brochure and where the lights run along the corridor of the plane, you were told to put on your mask first and then put it on those in your care. And it's critical here. So while we may refer, and you will see aspects of this conversation as it would apply to your children, as it would apply to your senior mom, run the gamut across the lifespan, we need you to be edified first, right? So do apply your resiliency mask first. So let's get to know each other a little better. And so I invite you to put on your mics now. Put on your videos. And so we would like you to share. I mean, it's a small group of us now. You're deserted. Hello, Kalisha, welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
On this desert island, right? And you could only have one thing with you. What will that be and why? So think about it. You have 30 seconds and then you could share it. What would that be and why?
I don't want to question. I know how I know Jane and I don't understand.
Okay. So we have gone through our learning outcomes, what we hope to achieve for this session, and we just want to get to know each other better. So okay. I expect that you'll be seeing this on your screen. Mm-hmm. Yes, a slide with a few of the guests like yourself.
Okay.
But you're also seeing.
I understand now. Thanks.
The deserted island.
Okay.
And you could only take one thing, have one item with you. What that will be and why?
I'll take my phone. To stay in contact with people mostly. I could call for help if I get a signal.
All right. If you get a signal. Okay, okay. Thank you. So work with your phone to be able to call for help. That's if she's getting signal. Jadia, what would be your item and why?
Me, it would be a knife.
A knife. All right.
Because if you're on a deserted island and there's no way out, you gotta eat. You want to
Yes.
be able to, some sort of survival if you need to get kindling for extended stay. So, yeah.
Okay. So you're being very strategic. You will walk with a knife. If that is your one thing.
That's my one thing.
Okay. Aura?
I will walk with probably matches
Matches?
to light a fire
Uh-huh.
because I'm on a deserted island and I want help to come out. So I had to light up something so anything that passing gonna see fire.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, Sharon. Okay, so right now we have Olivet. You want to share? What will you take? What will you have with you on this deserted island? Sharon, great to have you.
Okay, I'm sick of his friend, but I will take one thing. I would try. Yes, I can have
Okay. Olivet, what are you realizing? Okay, it's not coming across very clearly. So perhaps you could make your contribution in the chat below to share what it is you would walk with, right? It seems like the internet connection is disrupted. But we'd love to hear what you would have. So Sharon, we're putting you in the hot seat. So imagine you are deserted on an island and you could only have one thing with you. What will that be and why?
Woo!
Okay, you want to, let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
A knife.
A knife. All right, why a knife?
Okay, a knife can provide me, I can get food.
Yes.
It can protect me.
Yes.
And I can use it to cut up stuff and, you know, I can survive.
Excellent. Excellent. So now this team here is you know, you're thinking very strategically. So persons here have identified that they will walk with a knife. Another person said they will walk with matches. The third person, who was really the first, said, well, she will walk with a phone, right? So that is anticipating.
That you could get Wi-Fi or something.
Yes. Yes.
Wi-Fi.
It doesn't have to be Wi-Fi.
That's
It be a normal Me Too to get signal.
Oh, Wi-Fi. We good.
That money on that phone, lots of money on that phone.
Right? So a number of conditions. But in real life, we are often deserted because we are told that we are to be independent and to function independently of each other. If it is you call on someone, it's often like, what, so you know how to do this? But if it is, we are deserted. We're seeing how we can tap into each other's strengths and the items that we have to help each other survive. And we want to do more than just survive. We want to thrive.
Yeah.
So just to, let me check in with Olva to see if she left anything in the chat. Yes. So, all right. So Eden Paradise is saying that she doesn't have any video. Okay, Ashlyn 1, sorry, no video. But Olvet is saying she will take a knife or such tool. Sharon is right. Ashlyn 1 is saying, I will walk with water to keep hydrated. Eden Paradise.
I can have water.
Oh, what if the water done? What is it done?
She would sip the water. And Eden Paradise is saying she will definitely walk with a machete. She is a farmer. She will use it for housing, for food prep, and for protection. You go good. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Okay. So just to allow to ensure that the bandwidth continues to be maintained, I would invite you now to turn off the videos, mute your mics, and we'll continue until the next time for sharing. But it's great hearing the different perspectives. And I hope that you would share your water. Everybody will get a little sip. So let's go into the first concept. This concept, and today, for those who joined us a little late, we're talking about resilience and what that looks like on an individual basis. So resilience refers to an individual's as well as a community's ability to identify and use both individual and collective strengths in living fully in the present moment and to thrive while managing the activities of daily living. So we spoke about going beyond just surviving independently, but looking at collective strengths, right? Resilience also looks at a person's ability to use skills and, may I add, resources throughout the day to manage all the challenges that they encounter. So we're building our toolkit, right? Let's look at key concept number 2. Resourcing. Resourcing is that process of identifying your resources. Let me see if I can shift this a bit. Right. So your resources can either be external, internal, or intangible that enhance your sense of health and well-being. And we'll go a little more into this later on. So concept number 3. So imagine this is your ride.
Whoa.
Yes, this is your ride. God has blessed you with this ride through life. And this is your path that God has ordained for you. So he has placed you to drive along this country road of life with the trees meeting each other at the top there, forming a wonderful canopy, right? You could wind down your windows and get the fresh breeze, right? You have grassy edges on the side to gently cushion you, you know, as you move along. You could be dancing along the road, going from one lane to the next, because I mean, you don't have, there's no sign of oncoming traffic or anything like that.
No challenges.
And you're at peace. It's serene, it's calm. And I would like to liken this country road to your resilience zone.
Mm-hmm.
Your resilience zone Let me see if I can just shift this so that you can see it unhindered. Good, good. So your resilient zone is that state of well-being in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. And when you're in your resilient zone, you're able to handle the stresses of life. You may get annoyed, get angry, but you don't feel like you're losing it, right? You may even get sad, but you're not washed away, you know, like you're losing everything. As you move along your resilient zone, as you function within your resilient zone. Everybody following thus far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, this pretty more looks like real life, right? You're between rocks and a precipice. This is what everyday life tends to look like. And unfortunately, this is when the strategies strike, the trauma strikes. So imagine COVID-19. That's your stressful event. When that hit, how did you feel? Who started feeling, I mean, you're home now. Some people have lost their jobs. Some people losing pay because they're not on work, right? But besides COVID-19, which is not the only stressful factor, people were retrenched. Several people were retrenched recently. People lose their lives every day. They're minding their own business and just people pass on the street and shoot, right? People experience loss through divorce, right? Think about the children at home now. This COVID-19 experience. And you are trying as a parent to hold on to the job that you may have, but you also have to do school with them. And you only have one laptop to go around, and the teachers demanding the work to be done. So that causing irritation. So you're stuck on high. So, I mean, you're moving out of your resilient zone. You get bumped out on high. You're getting irritable. Who get angry? For those who retrenched, when that was their experience, they may be feeling body pain and all manner of things. They're getting anxious because they want to know how it is you'll pay the bills. But then there are some who, when they're under stress, they get bumped out on low, bumped out of their resilient zone. And they feel isolated. Being at home, indoors, isn't an easy thing, you know. You start to feel sad, you start to feel depressed. There's a need to reach out, but who to reach out to in the way that you're accustomed? Some people get to the point where they are constantly fatigued. And they decide, well, okay, and it's not that you actively choose it, you know, but you feel numb, you feel exhausted. You find yourself spending the day, all day in bed. That's when you're stuck in low. We'll explore this some more. But what happens with the children? Now, for them, we think of the okay zone as their resilient zone. And so, according to one of my children, they're fine. That's their word. They're not okay, they're fine. So in their fine zone, they may get angry, they feel happy, they're joyful, they don't know what to do with themselves, but they're in their zone, they're okay. But for the children, when this COVID-19 thing happened, there are a few of them, were bumped out on high. They started getting irritated with their siblings. The other day had to part a fight. But then there's also the being stuck on low. Just get very withdrawn. You see the tears. They miss playing on the field, in school. So all of these things are reality. Let's pause now. And so we'll open up. Okay, and I am getting the signal that my internet connection is unstable. But if you can open your mics, let us share, please. What has been your experience since the start of COVID-19, since being at home? So you can share by talking, you can raise your hand in the chat so I could acknowledge you, or you can put in your thoughts on the chat. That's okay. You don't all rush at once. One at a time will do.
Oh my God.
For me, Salat, Jada here.
Yes, Jada. Jada.
For me, I have work up to my throat, so I don't have time to even concentrate on COVID and impact, really. Because for me, I guess, when you're busy, you don't have really any attention to spend on, yes, you know what is going on, but
Right.
how it really affects you, there's no, well, in terms of me, there's really no correlation except the fact that I am working from home. I may probably have more work because they figure that you're home, you have a little more flexibility,
right,
to get things done. So
right.
indirectly, it affected me in terms of more workload. I guess more availability because people figure you're home, you're not at work, so they will call you.
Right.
But in terms of a health standpoint, I'm not really out there, so it's not really affecting me.
Right. But thank you for sharing. And I'm happy that you shared what you did, because many times we may assume that it's only those who are on the front line who are affected by this. The reality of having to work from home, if it is you haven't worked from home before as a regular practice, to be strewn into it, can also have its teething problems. And you did mention that here you are with people assuming that you are available because you're home, and there's a demand on you with the assumption that you are flexible, but you are now given more work. So your workload has been ramped up. And many times we don't appreciate the effect it will have. And we will speak to that probably in the next session, although we'll touch on it today. Just that feeling and notion of anxiety because there are greater expectations. And so I'm hoping that you have not been bumped out of your zone on high, because you may be experiencing heightened feelings of anxiety to perform, but we'll speak to that in terms of how we can address or rather how we can get more into our resilience zone, strengthen our resilience through this process. Anyone else?
Hi. Okay. So
Hi.
I feel like I'm kind of in my resilience zone, and it's strange because the thing is, I'm accustomed to being home majority of the time. So for this to happen, it's like it's not much of a big difference. It's just that I have things added in. As the sister said, it's more of a workload. So we have school and we have a lot of assignments coming in. So that's just the really thing that probably would increase my stress level. But other than that, everything is okay.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Nisha. So while you are familiar with just being at home and working from home, you also, if I remember correctly, also expressed, not now, and if I could share, that you are missing the community interaction, that fellowship of church.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Yes.
That is true.
And in this process, because that is a skill that I want to teach you all, but we're not teaching you all this particular skill in this session. I want to do it in the next one, and that is tracking. Now, tracking is not like we know here in Trinidad and Tobago. You're tracking, fella tracking the girl, or the girl quietly tracking the fella, observing him because, he looking fine. But this tracking is a matter of noticing what is going on in your body when particular things happen. And that by itself is a huge skill that I would want you to learn, to pay attention to. Because many times we are told, oh gosh, man, that small thing, what it is you're worrying about? Oh God, you're a big man, or we tell the children, but you're a big boy, what are you crying for? But that child is actually trying to release or receive and develop a release to the anxiety and the stressors that he or she is experiencing, right? I want us to keep on noticing what is happening and not try to just push it on the side, right? Okay, Olvet, you mentioned that in the chat, it has really been hectic. You have found yourself more busy than if you were at work. And actually, that was my experience also. And there's a sense of overwhelm almost, because, here am I, yes, I'm working from home. And just like you too, Jadia, there's the expectation that you're at home, so you're more flexible. But then the work is just being piled on, So I concur. And in some way, I know that we may not always recognize it, but I want you to reflect now on how you have been feeling. What have you noticed in your environment, in your home? What have you noticed in your body since COVID-19, since being at home, since being, since being forced to remain at home? Because even that word, it depicts that loss of choice. And for some, that can put them out of the resilience zone. But we'll talk further. So let us just recognize that some persons have a very shallow resilience zone where even small stressors can bump you out of the zone. So think of a one-lane road. You know how the roads used to be a long time, the highways? Okay, I'm seeing a message. Yes. Sharon, you find yourself finding lots of things to do at home because you feel stressed when you have nothing to do. There you go. And so that's the flip side of things, right? Because perhaps in your area of work, you cannot do it at home or from home. There was that stress. So you are occupying yourself even more at home.
Yes.
So if you can say that is a positive way of managing that non-occupation, that is the result of not being employed now, or rather working on the outside of home now.
Mm-hmm.
But some persons have a deep resilience zone. I recognize the message. Some persons have a deep resilience zone, and that is where you have a higher tolerance for the wide range of stressors. And what we hope to do at the end of this series is to deepen your resilience zone. So we want to move you from that 1-lane road to a 4-lane road, country road, if you will, where you would experience the stressors, yes, but you're not easily bumped out, right? So let me recognize, yes. Okay, so Kalisha is sharing that her environment has changed in a big way. The area is a lot more quiet in terms of crime, which is good. And she shares, I feel like I've learned more about myself in terms of the things I need to do and what I can improve. And that's powerful. That's really powerful. And so what are some of the, you could put your comments in the chat. What are some of the common reactions to trauma for both children and adults? So you could share, you know, on a spiritual basis, on an emotional basis, on a physical basis, relationally. How do we respond to trauma? And even if you don't know how to categorize it, just share your thoughts on the chat. All right, very emotional. Ashlyn is saying that she's actually more relaxed. She's able to spend more time with her daughter, with her family, and to do more gardening. That's excellent. I'm not sure how long this feeling will last. Got you, got you. So you have opened up the time, use it as a treasure, time as a treasure, and you're making as much good use of it as you can. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Kalisha is sharing as well that there's a spiritual component to it, that she turns to God when she can't figure things out. That's awesome. And indeed, He is our biggest resource. But think about some persons, their response to stress. Yes, Sharon is saying there's a difference in children. They don't know how to express their emotions, but adults may guard against their own emotions, but trusting God helps a lot. Agreed, agreed. So on the one hand, the children may not know how to express it. On the other hand,
adults
bottle it up.
Yes.
Right? But yes, trusting in God helps a lot. But you know what I like about God? What I love about him? He's a very personal God. And he wants to know how it is we feel, right? David spoke, he wrote Psalms about his distress, being hunted down by Saul, right? He expressed his deep sorrow when he killed Uriah. He took Bathsheba as his wife, right? So he was very specific about in his prayer and in his Psalms about what was happening. Yes, when he killed Uriah. So here are some of the reactions that happen, that occur. Tell me if you recognized any of these in yourself or in family members or friends. So in terms of thinking, some persons have nightmares. They become paranoid. Case in point. I remember many years ago when my dad was held up at gunpoint over the Lady Young. And he was asked to give up the vehicle. At that point, he was very calm. He just asked to be able to take out his box of books because he was a teacher at the time. And he was allowed to take it out, and they went with the car. But thereafter, he had gotten to the point where he kept the cutlass by his head on the floor, you know? So in terms of being paranoid, it's just reflecting on his mind all the time. And so he had to literally work that through, right? Some persons have nightmares. One of the children that I worked with in St. Vincent, now there was extremely heavy rainfall, if I remember correctly, coming out of a hurricane. And the school that she attended, which was just off, if you will, a riverbank, it got swept away by the river as it burst its banks. And she lived in the area, so she saw it happen, but she was having nightmares. And so again, I had to work in a very targeted way with her. She had actually stopped speaking for a while. So besides your thinking being affected, we experience stress physically. How many persons have noticed increased heart rate, that rapid heart rate? You remember when we just started getting news about COVID-19, and many of us may have been following, the health updates with the Ministry of Health, or going to the WHO website or CDC's website, and we're listening in to every jot of news. When we would have heard it and just the heart started to beat a little faster. For some people, the emotions give way. People may get angry, people may get fearful, people may experience grief. Behaviors change. We have relational issues, not being able to engage with each other in a positive way as before. There's also that sense of hopelessness that is on a spiritual level. Now, for those who may have lost loved ones, that may cause a loss in belief in God. For some people, it may cause you to cling to God more. You know, so there are several different responses. But what I want us to have as a take-home message, our experience of stress do not have to follow us. They're not our destiny. Once we learn how to stabilize our nervous system. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions so far? Okay, so I'll continue. Question. Okay, no question right now. Okay, so CRIM, the community resiliency model, which is the basis, which is the foundation of what I'll be exploring with you over this series, has as its core tracking, which is what I want to do in the next session. But what we'll focus on today as a spin-off of building resilience is resourcing. I think it is critical to have the resources that you need in your back pocket, in your front pocket, in your fob, you know, in your jacket pocket, so that with these on hand, we could then dig a little deeper into what is happening with us, okay? So resourcing, external resources would include positive experiences and memories, and it can include people, places, different activities, different skills, you know, different hobbies, things outside of yourself that give you joy and peace. We have internal resources. That is, those personal characteristics of yours that you're proud of, that you're happy for, that makes you unique. So those could be that of kindness, of compassion, or you know how to diffuse a rough situation with humor. All of those are resources. But then you also have some intangible resources. That is those that you can't touch, but you know that they're there, or you can apply to your lived experience. For those who believe in God, it is that faith in God, that you know that He can do everything, so that you can surrender your circumstance to Him. For some children, because they don't know what to hold on to and their life situation is really rough, we may direct them to positive, strong characters in books. So to look at their characteristics, look at their skills, and see how they can adopt those characteristics. And so here we have our activity. If you're able, I'd like you to open up your videos and to write down any 3 resources that. Sister Janet, welcome. Brother Jules, is that you? Welcome. Great to have you. So let me go back to the previous slide. As yes, this is not homework for you to take away. We're doing it now in class session. I have some students, they would want to see what they can take away every time. So we're doing it now. So we're writing down the 3 resources. Now, let me just go back to the previous slide so that we can just reflect on what our resources are. So our resources can be external to us. Is there something that you just love doing? That you could picture it in your mind now as a It could be something that you enjoy doing, a place that you enjoy going. It could be an individual that you have a passion for, that you enjoy spending time with. Right? So write it down. You also have internal resources. Those personal skills, your ability to do, ... you fill in the blanks. It could be an aspect of your physical person. So you found that you're able to heal quickly from illness. That's a resource that you're happy for. And you're thankful. So that is an internal resource. But you also have those intangible resources, such as your faith in God. I know you would have several, but just wanted to choose 3 right now. So for those who want to move ahead on the activity, so you've written down your 3 resources. I want you to circle one of those resources. So any one. So any one of your resources. And then to jot down 3 or more details about that one resource. It doesn't have to be a long paragraph, no please. Just 1 or 2 words. And we're going slowly, so if by now you haven't, just gotten up to grab a sheet of paper and a pen, you can do that now. So we're writing down our 3 resources, any 3. You're circling one of those resources. And then you're writing down 3 or more details about your resource. Let me reduce this so that you could get the other pointers, because I have some A+ students here who are ready to move forward. So after you have added some detail to your resource, we would like you to share. Right? So please, whatever you've written, do make it shareable. What you're willing to share with others. And what I tell my students, and it continues here as well, this is a safe space. This is a safe space. We're here supporting each other as a community. But if there are some details that you would prefer not to share, we will support you in that as well. Okay.
Well, all right. Well, I guess I will go first.
Okay, great.
All right. So my 3 resources: external, spending time with friends and family.
Yeah.
Internal, I listed two personal. One is the ability to multitask. The second is perseverance regardless. The one with perseverance, I broke down. I could share 3 thoughts about it. With the perseverance part, sometimes I don't know when to quit. 1. 2 means it can be overwhelming when you don't know when to quit and you keep holding on. And thirdly, it makes, when people know that you persevere, it makes you the go-to person when they have things that they need. So as the 3 details.
That's powerful, and I'm writing it down so that we can go back to it. So perseverance. Why is my pen giving up the ghost here? So perseverance, sharing time with friends, you said, friends and family. And remind me of the third one, please. Oh my.
Ability to multitask.
Right, ability to multitask. Okay, I'm just trying another pen to see if this will work. Right, ability to multitask. So, and in terms of perseverance, yes, you identified that you become the go-to person. Share with me, please, if you don't mind repeating, the other 2, the 2 details, the additional 2 details for perseverance.
Sometimes I don't know when to quit.
Okay, don't know when to quit.
And it can be overwhelming at times.
It can be overwhelming. And so what you presented, and that is critical, is recognizing that you may have a resource that is a double-edged sword. Or in other words, you are blessed by it, but you can also be negatively affected by it. And so that duality of the resources, we need to pay special attention to. So I'm happy that you raised this experience in terms of perseverance. So it is a positive quality. But you need now to be able to effectively manage this resource of perseverance so that it doesn't overcome you, so that it doesn't overwhelm you, right? So it is a wonderful thing to be the go-to person. It tends to add to our validity as an individual, our sense of value, our ability to contribute to the community. And that makes us feel good. And it spurs us on for greater contribution, to God, to community, to service in general. But if you don't know when to stop, when to go on pause, we can be overwhelmed and then we don't have anything else to give. And so when this happens, I would want to refer you to another resource. You mentioned spending time with family and friends. I wouldn't want to go to your ability to multitask, because then you would go do more work and be more overwhelmed. So I want you to think about, to develop as well, sharing time with friends and family and what that looks like. When last did you spend time with friends that you all just laughed, that you all just played board games for an entire evening? When last I had games night? Even with your family members. So we're not, in this particular context, with not congregating with more than 5 persons, fine. But with your family, your immediate family, when last have you really hung out with each other, limed with each other, and just laughed, just went down memory lane? So these are some things I want you to develop a little more, so that you would then experience the relief of it. Now, when you said, and perhaps, you know what, let me go on pause. Let me allow some other persons to share, and then I'll come back. Yeah? Okay, who else would like to share?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yes. Yes. For me, I have helping people,
Yes.
you know, well, because I think I can share kindness and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I like to work with plants, and I reflect. One of the things is that I will reflect on better times and kind of sit down and muse over it. But the one that I want to detail a little bit is working with plants. Let me tell you, when I need to, when I need to just calm down, I go outside and I get among my plants. I would start to do one thing and time is just lost when I am with those plants. You have a variety of color, it keeps me calm, and it kind of tells me, if God could take care of these plants, why? I mean, I could trust him. So I don't need to really worry as much. I mean, I am just lost among the plants, and time just goes. So this is my main resource, and it has worked for me time and time again.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you for sharing.
Yes.
So you said a few things. Time just goes. You think about the variety, enjoy the variety of color. And
Yes.
as you reflect on God keeping the plants,
Yes. I could see how he could take care of me.
yes, he takes care of you. And because I know you're familiar with the process of resourcing, let me just move this item across. I want to ask you to notice what happens on the inside of your body as you're talking about the plants.
Well, there's that calmness, there's that peacefulness, right? Um that is not, will not always be there, you know. So any kind of anxiety is being calmed by, you know, just talking about the plants, and you know, you feel, you have a good feeling, you have a good feeling.
Okay.
All right, just leave me with my plants, and I mean, I don't care what happens. You could come, you could say what you want to say. Somebody could try to run for me. I am with my plants, and I will not be easily rumpled.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing. Okay, I'm just responding to a few members on the chat. Sharon, I'm sorry.
Can I say something here?
Sure, yes, please.
Okay. Talking about her garden. Let me describe the feeling that you get better more. You as parents, when your child has achieved something, how proud you feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the kind of feel you can get being in
Yes.
the garden. Sometimes I'm home from work, I have a headache. I go out to the garden sometimes before changing my clothes.
Yes.
And you know, the people, in fact, you know when the headache greets you. All you know is that, okay, wow, I've accomplished something. You come back with a joy, and it's like, hey, headache gone. You know, so it just kind of freshes
Yes.
you right through.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true. So true. So true.
Awesome. Yes. So you can go next. You can go next, Albert. So you spoke about the garden. Do you have any other resources that you would like to share? I know Sharon is saying that she has to leave for work. Saying bye to everyone. Albert is sharing that is one of her weak points, not spending time with friends. Yes, so that could be an untapped resource that you have. Alicia also had to leave because she has to do some work for this evening. But her 3 resources include art as an ability to express herself, kindness to encourage and motivate others, and faith in God as well. She wishes a great evening to everyone. So yes. Albert, anything else you'd want to share? Sister?
Sometimes I can find myself help others, you know, just to take everything off my mind. You know, you see about the need of others, and that helps a long way. Or I can just find myself preparing things, you know.
Right.
Finding things to prepare.
Okay.
You know?
What are some of those things that you prepare?
Pass the time. A lot of time I give it away then, you know. So that's how those are my.
Okay, what are some of those things that you prepare? Okay, I think
Can you repeat that question, please?
Okay, you said one of your resources is that ability to see to the needs of others, and that you would prepare some things to share. What are some of those things that you prepare?
Hello?
Oh my.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh boy, the internet.
Yes, the internet is doing its own thing.
Hello?
So I'm putting it in the chat.
If you me, I'm not hearing anything.
I'm just putting it in the chat. What are those things that you prepare for those in need? Okay. Brother Jules, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate that you have to leave, and we have been, going beyond the stipulated time. But I invite each of you, as you are on, to reflect on, after you've identified your resources. So you have your 3 resources. You detail one of them. As you think about it, as you reflect on it, I want you to pay attention to your breathing. I want you to pay attention to how your mind feels, your heart rate. I want you to notice how your shoulders feel. Are they tensed? Are they relaxed? As you think about gardening, Sister Aura, Olvet, Pukalisha, as she thinks about doing artwork. Sister Jadia, as you think about sharing time, spending time with family and friends, or even this gift of perseverance. We want you to notice something in your body. And that it will speak to, remember, there's the biology of being in your resilient zone. But resourcing, that is identifying what those resources are that you have. It builds internal resilience and a renewed sense of one's own abilities and capacities. Okay, Sister Janet, yes. She's sharing that she's so glad for being at home, that she has learned online banking. She has learned how to use Zoom and getting so many sermons and messages online. You know, she's loving it. She could really get accustomed to service online. Indeed. So here you are using the technology in a positive way to enhance your at-home experience. It's wonderful putting a positive spin on it. While some may experience, you know, just being or feeling isolated, you are finding new ways of opening your world, opening up your world using the technology, and that's fantastic. Where's my farmer friend? Okay, so Olvet is saying that sometimes she'll just go to the kitchen and make something, or she'll spend time helping others, even if it is just listening and giving advice. But just being outside in the garden tops it all. Indeed, fantastic. Fantastic. Yes. Sister Aura, you wanted to share something?
No, I finished here. I finished. I have already shared.
Okay. So I am missing my farmer friend who would walk with her machete.
Yeah, where is she?
Yes. And a few others. But just keep in mind, and I would want you to notice that there are positive sensations and memories that come from reflecting on your resources. And these bring a direct experience of well-being. As Sister Aura mentioned, there's that feeling of calm, right? Yvette mentioned, you know, that she's feeling proud, that there's this sense of achievement, you know, the sense of well-being, and that helps to stabilize the nervous system. And over time, even with those resources that have almost like a two-face, like that perseverance that Jadia experienced, you would learn the sensations in the body, at least what would be less uncomfortable or at least neutral. So that gift of perseverance. And you would also be able to identify when it's just positive. So when it's positive and you're working towards achieving that goal, that would be excellent. And I would want you, we will need to continue in this series to be able to what's that all about in terms of engaging the sensations, identifying the sensations in the body. And again, paying attention to what these sensations look like can also expand and deepen your resilience zone. Ashlyn, on. We missed you just now, and you can join in at any point in time to identify what your resources are.
Yes, I have.
But I appreciate that time is well spent. It is 4:29. We've gone over our 1 hour expectation of this session. It's wonderful to have spent it with you. And I would want to just reflect. So for those, now I'm saying the test is coming up that I have a slow connection. So I would invite you, those who have the videos on, to turn off video. And if you can please mute yourself. So in summary, all right, so I could help. Right. So in summary, the takeaways from today's session is recognizing that the nervous system in our bodies respond to trauma in specific ways. And it causes us to be bombed out on high, where we get angry, when we are filled with rage, when we experience anxiety, or we can be bombed out on low, where we may become withdrawn, where we may, just feel isolated. However, the deeper our resilience zone, that state of well-being, that country road, is the less likely we are to get bumped out when stress or trauma strikes. Tongue twister there. Now, resilience, if we remember, is that ability to tap into our skills, to tap into our resources that we have to weather the storms of life. And therefore, the more we focus and intensify our resources, the greater will be our internal resilience. And so, do we have any final thoughts that we'd like to share at this time? Before we separate? In fact, I would like to invite you now to share in the chat for me what you thought about this session, whether you will give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and if it is a thumbs up, when you would like us to have another session. And that second session, we will be looking a little more at understanding the nervous system in our bodies and learning to track what is happening, right? So noticing, when I spoke about noticing what is happening when you think about your resource, that is a huge skill all by itself, right? So with several activities that we'll want to do, so I invite you now, in the chat, everyone, you can give this session a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and then if it is a thumbs up, identify when next you would like to have this session, a follow-up session in this series where we'll be focusing on tracking. And you could even give how much time you think we should allot it. And so I'd like to thank you so much for joining in today. And I would like to leave with you a verse on resilience, a Bible verse, and it is a New International Version taken from Isaiah chapter 43, verses 18 and 19. And it says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. And it's such a privilege for those in community of faith to recognize and tap in to the resource that we have in our Father, our Heavenly Father, who loves us and cares for us. And he is willing and able and interested in making or creating miracles in our lives. He said he will make a way in the wilderness. So I'd just like us to bow our heads for prayer as we close. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this session today, and I thank you for all the persons that are present on this session now, those who had to leave shortly. But thank you for this privilege of joining together to build our resilience and to form a level of support to each other. We praise you and we thank you for just being so loving, so passionate about us, for being interested in us. And so, Lord, we know that we can trust you to create miracles in our lives. So we thank you for all that you'll do for us and through us, and not just for us, but for our families and our friends as well, as we continue to glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.